So, when last we left our intrepid adventure, we'd bitten off slightly more than we could chew, or thought that we could chew, because we're level 6 party, and we're fighting a level 15 elite.
You're outclassed.
Yeah, fortunately, he's all on his own. And since we got the drop on him, and figured out fairly quickly that he was out of our league, we were just throwing everything we had. Keep him immobile, keep him dazed if possible, keep him next to Aurora so he's weakened, so that all his mega kill everything spells actually only half kill us. All that sort of thing. Now, unfortunately, John had overlooked one of the ability effects of the Cone of Cold. It immobilizes save ends. So, it turns out we had been cheating very slightly in that we'd repositioned ourselves.
Actually, it really made a huge difference because you guys surround him in such a way that, like in a very optimal pattern for you.
Yeah.
But it was too late to go back, so...
Yeah, it would have been a very different fight.
Something probably his time jumping just messed with his spells a little bit.
Well, you know, you played Munchkin before, right? There's that card. GM forgot about a monster's ability, and it makes it much easier.
Yeah.
I did apply that. I was like, okay, well, we'll call it fair. We're not going to go back in time and wreck your awesome turn. But at the same time, how about your immobilized save ends now, a turn later?
Yeah.
Which really made no difference because they were where they wanted to be anyway.
Yeah,
but
exactly. If he'd managed to move from his current position, then we would have been a little bit in trouble.
Yeah, and it makes even more sense with the timey-wimey.
Yes, delayed effect. You can't blame everything on time travel. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card.
It is now.
No, it's not. Everything has to make logical sense. I'll be watching this campaign, John. And when it's all over, if it turns out it didn't make sense, I'll call you on it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, nope, we got to do this over.
I'll go back in time and make you cease to exist, so...
That's what it's going to take to keep me from complaining. Anyway. You're running a time travel campaign with a player who's like a professional nitpicker. It's not going to end well. Anyway. So, we're having this fight. And we're all immobilized around this guy. I'm trying to remember what sort of special things happened in this fight. I think...
well, did he get away?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We got to make this suspenseful chronological telling.
Well, there was at the end of previous telling, there was like a plan sort of happening where he might be able to. He was like not disabled completely from getting away.
Yeah, he seemed to want to get away, and he did have this teleport ability thing that would be able to get him out of there. But it was a roll to regenerate the ability thing, so we didn't know any given round whether he'd be able to teleport out of there.
And yeah, like we started this session. They had just bloodied him.
Yeah,
and he was
just
clearly,
surrounded him, right?
Yeah, and he was clearly he was trying to get away at that point, right? Like he wasn't. He had Cone of Colded them, just planning to kill them all. But when that didn't work, and he got bloodied, he was like just trying to get out of there.
Yeah,
but they dazed him, and he was.
Well, the first 2 rounds, Cricket bullied him, which is pretty awesome because I was worried that would be just a character-based thing that she got that was actually kind of useless in actual combat, but it turned out to be quite handy. Of course, I got lucky rolls to hit him, but
in a lot of ways that describes this combat. Like there were a lot of times when it's like, okay, to hit this guy we've got to roll an 18 or better. 18. That happened a lot.
Yeah, it was surprising, but I'm not going to question that.
Like they really locked that guy down, and it was a mix of good tactics and luck. Like there were some.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was also some good tactics like locking him down, and also using dailies, which had effects on miss. That was quite helpful.
Yep.
But
Cricket had that ability that let her give an 18 to someone. And I wound up using that on an encounter power. Because encounter powers do nothing when they miss. Whereas dailies do something. And the other thing, we wanted to, we had a couple of auto damage abilities that we wanted to bring into play. And after the end of last session, in the car ride on the way out, we had sort of, pooled our resources, as it were, talked about, okay, who has auto damage abilities? Mm-hmm. And we figured we could do 20 hit points a round in auto damage. It turns out that there was some misremembering going on. We didn't have that much in the way of auto damage, but still.
Also, he was resistant enough to fire that the fireball made no difference.
Oh, okay.
So that also...
Yeah. Well, Croesus, I think it was Croesus, had... No, Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor. She has an ability that allows some of her fire damage to bypass.
Oh,
damage.
yes, that's right. So it did make...
It was actually doing some damage.
Yeah, it was doing 5 around because of that.
Yeah. And I think that's all we accounted for in our little calculations. Calvin and his magic missile pew pew was actually significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5 around. They all mocked Calvin for his crappy...
I don't know. We mocked him last time during the fight with the Butcher of Bracken Ridge. Mm-hmm. And it did seem pretty silly back then because the Butcher had an enormous number of hit points. Mm-hmm. So 5 hit points around pew pew, whatever. We're laying down 50 around on him and it's not even phasing him. This guy's a wizard. Even though he's high level, he doesn't have an enormous bag of hit points.
And he certainly doesn't have pain slaves.
He doesn't have pain slaves. And so 5 hit points around is actually significant in this fight. I wasn't mocking him. And Cricket was like, excuse me, Cricket was standing right next to him, so if there was to be any mocking to be done, it would have been her job. Anyway.
Yeah, it certainly helped that, like, yeah, not only, I mean, this guy was high level and you did good attacks and you were lucky, but also wizards are low on the hit point end of the pool.
Yeah, he was a wizard who was alone and in melee. This is not a good position to be in any edition. So, who was it that dazed him? Someone put a dazed effect on him.
I think he was dazed by different people at different times.
Yeah. Because Cricket stopped doing the bola thing.
I think Aurora's thing dazed him, but Croesus dazed him the last time, yeah.
Yeah. It seems to be, yeah. Anyway.
I knocked him prone.
Oh yeah, he got dazed and knocked prone.
That is an excellent combination.
And was he also immobilized or something? There was like
he was dazed, knocked prone, and if he moved, everyone got an attack of opportunity on him. Even if he shifted.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And so it really all came down to
we really locked him down.
He has this teleport thing where basically he could swap places with any other person on the battlefield. And if it recharged, he was scot-free. Well, he wasn't scot-free.
Yeah.
Because he was still
as long as the party,
it would have become a running battle.
As long as the party stays next to each other, it's fine.
Yeah, there were some few people off in like an alleyway, but even putting himself on the edge would be good. But my plan for him was like I'd saved his action point because he was an elite. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, he's going to teleport away, swap places with someone, and then even if he's dazed, he's going to use his action point to run. Mm-hmm. But then he got dazed and prone.
Yeah.
So even if he teleported away, I think I would have had him use his action point to stand. Mm-hmm. But he's still in trouble.
Yeah.
But it's the best he could do. But
he did actually end up coming up with one gambit that threw us for a complete loop. It was the most dirty, underhanded. This was a scummy tactic.
Well, this was after. So I was like, okay, I got to roll a 5 or a 6 for his teleport to recharge. Roll a 1.
Yeah.
So now he's screwed.
Totally screwed. He's got him totally to rights.
Yeah, he has like 15 hit points. He's in serious trouble. So
he pulls this.
He pulls his desperation tactic. He casts a vortex of fire on his current position, hitting everyone, and knowing that he has 12 fire resistance anyway, hits everyone, and he critted Croesus. When it rolls to attack himself, critical miss.
Yeah, that was great. But that's not the scummy tactic I'm talking about here. No. After that...
I thought you were just annoyed that he called in a tactical nuke on his position and
that was awesome.
Escaped unscathed.
I was impressed. I thought that was a cool move. No, this was the underhanded thing happened right after that.
Oh, yeah. When you guys beat him down the next round.
Yeah, we were like, okay, that kind of hurt, but we're still totally all standing and you're still screwed. he pulled his final actual desperation maneuver. He surrendered. He was like, I surrender, don't kill me. And we all roll our insights, and we're all like, yeah, he's genuinely surrendering. Now what do we do? Okay.
Can't kill him.
Well, we can't let him live.
It's a good point, because he's the only one who's really seen the party.
Yeah.
The other wizards, well, there's a huge vortex in the sky, so they're starting to stir over there and come towards the town, but they're like a minute away.
Yeah. So, we're like, Aurora, of course, is, we have to let him live, because it's a nice thing to do. Croesus is like, we have to let him live, because it's the law. Cricket's like, what do you all want to do? And Hank is like, I crush you, Scott.
That's what he wanted to do. But,
and then he did.
Well, not exactly, because actually first Serendipity went, and she was just like, yeah, I killed him. And so she hits him for 9 damage, she has 10 hit points. So he has 1 hit point left. And then Hank was not sure, because he said he really wants to do what the party wants to do. He wants to be a team player, but he also just wants to kill him.
Yeah.
So he said, when I roll my attack, if the dice rolls even, I let him live. If it rolls odd, I kill him. And, it was 13.
Yep.
So he killed him. And the guy faded away and melted into like a black, melty blob.
Leaving behind his robe and staff. 15th level gear. Which John had totally
they're like, what is this? I identified. I'm like, I don't know yet, because I didn't expect this to happen.
He was convinced that wizard was going to get away somehow. Not that he was going to win, but that he would somehow escape and flee. Which is not an unreasonable assumption. A high-level wizard has a lot of tricks, once you get away, that can get in places. But we just... The combination of lucky rolls and throwing everything we had at him just overwhelmed him. So yeah, he's dead.
So they murder these 2 guys in the street, and then they see all their companions running, so they bolt out of town as fast as they can.
Yeah, now this is an interesting case where things that made total sense to John were different from the things that made total sense to us. John,
I'm totally not familiar with that from things that make sense to Brian.
Yeah. So, I think it was interesting though, because it was almost entirely party thinks one thing and John thinks another. It wasn't even a mix. We all thought, okay, the obvious next step, leg it, run. Got to get out of here as fast as we can, as far as we can.
Way too many high-level wizards. Can't
Way
do that
too many
again.
high-level wizards. John thought the only obvious approach would be to try and hide. Run into a building somewhere and hide. But I'm thinking, run into a building and hide from 9 15th level wizards and up, because we haven't met their leader yet. He's probably a higher level, even though he did that magic fart thing when he tried to intimidate us. I figured, okay, well, I didn't even really think about it, because it was just like, I go into a building, they'll just level the building, and then we'll be standing there comically in the rubble, going, oh.
Yeah, the party was really in panic mode, and for good reason, right? They just stirred up the hornets.
Oh, yeah. 15th level hornets.
Yeah. So they bolt, and they're like, we run off the road into the forest. I'm like, well, remember that the forest is the way behind. This is like just scrubby bush. So they run into the scrubby bush, and at first I was like, well, I guess they all chase you. But then I was like, well, no, some of them would stop to investigate. So 5 of them chased them.
And we got into this hilarious situation where
they actually saw you. They had a chance to see.
It was a very small town.
And there was a big fireball thing, and then we're running through the outskirts, which is, there's no cover.
They didn't get a good look at them, but they're like, okay, someone killed our guys, and there's some guys running away. Let's check it out.
So we got into a foot race through scrubby underbrush wilderness, where we're being chased by a bunch of high-level wizards. They hitch their robes up, and they're like,
"This is some Discworld."
And so we're both groups are running and rolling endurance checks to see who can run longer. They've all got their staves, and they're like, So it was fun. We had a good old run, a marathon. Unfortunately, once again, Cricket has a decent endurance. She really does. But I was rolling like 4s and 3s and stuff. Just like last time we had endurance checks.
Maybe she's got a cold.
I don't know. It's just the luck of the dice. There was someone else in our party this time around that also was flubbing there.
Serendipity couldn't
was
make
having
it.
trouble.
There was endurance check. 3 of the wizards dropped out. So it's just 2 of them chasing, at a distance, like, yeah, I see them, kind of thing. But Serendipity ran out of steam, and so did Cricket.
And so it was...
No, actually, Serendipity ran out first.
This is funny. Croesus is like offering to carry the characters that are running out of steam. And Serendipity is like, no, I don't want to be carried. It would be so demeaning to me to be carried. And Cricket is like, no, I don't want to be carried. It would be so demeaning to you to be carrying me. We were each worried about how demeaning it was to be carried, but
Completely different.
completely opposite. Yeah. So we didn't get carried. I don't think
Serendipity did get carried because she was desperate.
She rationalized that it was like riding a mount.
Yeah, but it didn't work out because first Serendipity was flagging, so Croesus carried her, but then he had to make a really hard endurance check and failed. So then Croesus was flagging and Cricket was flagging, and the wizards were still 2 of them were still hot on their tail.
Yeah.
And they're thinking like there's only 2 of them, but they just barely beat one of them by unloading all their dailies.
Yeah.
And they haven't got a chance to rest. They don't even have their encounters back.
Yeah.
And they got lucky too.
Yeah, we don't want to get in a fight. So, of course, at this point, Cricket starts making various suggestions that you guys keep running, I'll branch off and divert their attention. And they're like, no, you're not going to sacrifice your life, Cricket. Stop that. And they're like, okay, well, how about I know you're going to try and sacrifice your life again, aren't you? Stop that. So they weren't buying any of Cricket's suggestions, even though, for the good of the party, it really made sense. But anyway, so we can't outrun these guys. These are like triathlon wizards.
They're just that much better than you.
No.
And I mean,
they're 10 levels higher.
Yeah, their wizards. Yeah, their wizards did better than your wizard at running.
Yeah.
It didn't do better than Hank.
Yeah.
But, and Hank could have been way ahead of them.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I said, I assume that the people who can go faster hang back with the slowest people.
Yeah.
So Hank could have totally outpaced the wizards, but the problem was the slow people couldn't outpace them.
And you didn't have time to summon horses or anything.
No, it's a 10-minute ritual. We were considering some of that.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of discussion of how they could get 10 minutes to summon horses.
So
you really needed like figurines of power or something.
What we wound up doing was using some cinematic points to get just far enough ahead of those wizards that we could do stealth checks and find a hiding spot.
Well,
didn't I critically succeed or so? I got a really high roll.
No, you didn't actually roll because you used a cinematic point. And I said,
auto-succeed?
if you use a cinematic point, you can do the classic because it's cinematic, right? From so it's like, look, a cave, everyone, in here.
Yeah.
So they just automatically succeeded on their stealth, and then Serendipity used
Ben Goldstrider more.
Serendipity used a cinematic point to make this really good ghost sound. Basically an auto success on a ghost sound. It's something ghost sound could do, but it's an auto success of them running away in a slightly different direction. So they all hide in this they go down this little gully and they hide in this perfect cave, and then the 2 wizards go chasing off in a wrong direction, and then they just sit there silently.
We decided, rather than make horses and make a break for it, we got a good hiding spot. Let's just hope that it all blows over. Just turtle up, be totally quiet. So I think that was when we actually made stealth checks, and Croesus made his critical failure.
Yeah, because eventually, after like half an hour, they came back, just trudging back over their path, and they passed by the cave once more on their way back to town, and everyone had to make a stealth check. An easy stealth check, but a stealth check nonetheless.
Yeah. And Croesus is absolutely...
Well, he critically failed. He rolled a 1.
And he doesn't have a high stealth check to begin with, so...
He like stubs his toe. It's like, wow.
Well, the thing is, he had one of those little bonus cards that John gives out when cool things happen. That was, you could swap a critical fail for a critical success.
It's called dumb luck.
Yeah. So he had rolled a 1, he could now turn that into a 20. If he'd rolled a 2, he'd have been screwed. So it turned out to be a good thing. And so the way he described it was Croesus had started rambling on about, I can't remember what, some Croesus thing.
Someone had given him magical amulets, and the whole party was wearing magical amulets to hide them from everything.
So. He was explaining how we couldn't be found because we had these magic amulets.
Yeah, it's impossible for them to fail a stealth check. He's like, I could even do this, and nothing would happen. He slams the roof of the cave
with
and makes a huge noise.
And a big rock gets dislodged from the roof of the cave and falls and blocks the entrance. So they can't see in. So that was how his critical fail turned into a critical success. He blocked the entrance with his clumsiness.
Yeah. And so they easily passed by, and after waiting like another half an hour, they made horses and
like climb out
of town. And it was funny because like they've been doing all this stuff to try to find these 10 wizards, despite the fact that I had no intention of them ever dealing with them. They're like, and now they're just like, yeah, let's go deliver the box. We're out of here. Thank God.
I hope we never see those guys again.
So, yep. Now, luckily, none of them have seen a good glimpse of the party. They've just seen like these guys hightailing it. Now, I mean, an oblin, a satyr,
a star.
The stars look pretty much like mongrels, especially from the back, and shifters are not that uncommon. So, and gnomes even aren't that uncommon. So it's really like an oblin traveling around and a satyr traveling around are a bit odd. You know, they probably might know the makeup of the party, but they don't know them by face or anything.
Which is why it's very important that we get into the Empire of Flowers, where satyrs are common.
Right. It depends on how far away you guys were, because it could just look like figures if they didn't have like spyglass or something.
Cricket leaves distinctive tracks.
I don't know. The oblins don't.
No. So really, Cricket's the only liability of the party. They should totally leave her behind so she can distract them. I never deal with that. Anyway, so we get away, and Henry did the hiding thing because he's being run by the GM, and thought that was smart. And he's a rogue, so it's logical. And I guess he succeeded. We don't know. So we talked with Calvin and said, hey, okay, Calvin, we really don't want to go back into town, obviously. You want to hitch up with Henry again, right? How are you going to do that? Do you know where Henry's going? And he's like, well, probably Henry will head to Greybridge, because that's where we were all going. So we're like, okay, we'll meet up with Henry again there. That's how we'll get that resolved. So the rest of us, we summon our horses, and we head off in the direction of Greybridge, and also in the direction of that town where we can finally ditch this box.
The box of punishment. Extreme punishment for you.
Yeah. Stupid quest. Worthless. Anyway. So.
You have to have rules about diplomatic envoys.
This is the worst quest ever. Anyway. But we're almost finally done that. So we get to the town where we're supposed to give the box to an operative? Yes.
Yeah, they had a sealed note that they were supposed to open when they got near Greybridge, and it just said, because they have he said it would be on their ancient map, because they have the map of what it was like in the Oud and Panoblin times, and just something along the lines of find Gozok's brewery in Phi Beta Phi, and you'll find a cave and deliver it to our operative in the cave.
Yeah.
So they easily find Phi Beta 5. It's right roughly on the location of modern day Belson, which is just it's like the entry town to Greybridge, where it's like the place where people are trying to hawk their wares because you're not in Greybridge proper and everything's more expensive and
fraudsters
and fraudsters and like there's more like illicit activities tolerated here than in Greybridge proper. So it's sort of. But it's not like a lawless town either. It's just, one step more lawless than Greybridge, which is like run by the Oblin. So
So we faced our greatest challenge of the adventure then. There was a bunch of NPCs that wanted to talk to us about
Here they
things.
come. I mean, you arrived in civilization.
Yeah, there's a bunch of hucksters and stuff.
Yeah, they were all trying to sell stuff, and people were like, can we buy stuff here? And I'm like, well, yeah, you can, but you have to pay 10% above what it says in the, if you just want to buy between sessions, you can go ahead, but you got to pay 10% extra because they're going to rip you off.
Yeah, we didn't want to do much with buying. So
there was a guy who, Aurora tried to buy a collar for the cat.
Oh, right.
There was a guy who tried to sell her a collar.
It was bartered. He was
the
like
collar for the
gold or something.
Some sort of Queen of the Oblin. I don't even remember what it was. So it was some sort of Oblin Queen collar, and she's like, I don't want that. I just want a cheap collar. He's like, oh, actually, the cat was just named the Oblin Queen. Oblin don't have a queen, and so, and anyway, he tried to sell it to her for 20 gold, and bartered her down. Or he,
it's like 5 copper in the end.
Yeah, he's just like, nah, never mind, and walked on. He just kept following, like 10 gold, 1 gold. Yeah, in the end, it was 3 copper. He's like, all right.
At which point he was like, 5 copper. Like, no, we just agreed to 3.
Yeah. And then so she bought this collar for 3 copper, and he walked around, sucker.
So, we managed to get through this monumental obstacle.
I can't imagine how.
We bought a collar. Aurora didn't learn anyone's life stories, so...
Well, at least you don't end up in that situation where you didn't buy the squirrel.
So, we find the address we're supposed to go to. And it was like some boarded up building. It was, what did it used to be?
Well, it used to be a brewery, but actually it's a windmill now. It's like fully functional. It's just, but there's supposed to be a cave nearby.
Yeah. Well, I thought we went inside and there was like, it was fake boarded up.
No, that was something else. It was a misunderstanding, I guess.
Oh, okay.
There was supposed to be a cave nearby. They found a cave kind of like where the water ran down by the windmill, and the cave was boarded up. Like looking like it's boarded up so no one could ever go in that cave.
Okay.
But then when they got closer, they're like, you could pull there was a door.
Yeah, there was my misunderstanding. I thought the cave was inside the building, like in the basement or something.
No, it was just it was sort of outside by where the water flows down by the water wheel.
Right. So we go inside the cave. And there's like, it's a rough natural cave that just continues on deeper, and there's like water on the floor in patches. And we go in deeper, and then we make some perception checks, and we hear, shuffling, and things are moving around, and there's silhouettes in the darkness. And then Mr. Crazy Pants says his lines. There's like some guy standing on this little cliff with a waterfall. What did you say?
I think his first thing was, we have guests. Let's give them a welcome.
Yeah.
And then
John did his crazy voice.
all these husks start coming out of all the shadows. Husks being the
guys whose souls have fled. The 1% that lose their souls.
and now they turn into zombies because of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically, the 1% of guys who turn into crazy zombies.
Basically, a bunch of zombies.
When they turn 18.
A bunch of zombies come to attack us.
And some guy who's just like, yes, welcome to our family. These are my brothers and sisters. These are my children.
And Cricket's like, worst operative ever. Can we just give you the box and go? But anyway. So, yeah, all these husks start shambling at us. And we're sort of a little bit loosely spread out, and they're all around us a distance off. So, Hank, who has particular issues with husks, because one of his brothers huskified.
Yeah, and it was particularly bad because this guy kept calling these husks his brothers. Like when they killed one husk, he's like, no, that was my brother, Grantarda.
Yeah, he gave them all names. They were clearly made up names, but... So Hank runs off, charges at a group of them, and is attacking them on his own. And everyone else is huddling over into a defensible corner.
When Hank did that, it was right after that guy was like, yeah, that was my brother, and Hank said something like, my brother was much better. His name was George. And he hacks 3 husks in half. It was actually pretty awesome.
Well, right in the very first round of this, though, it didn't quite look that overwhelming for Hank. He'd gone off on his own, and everyone else was in the corner. So Cricket figured, normally Cricket is like following Aurora around to keep her from dying. But she figured this time round she'd better go over to where Hank is, because he's all on his own. He might get overwhelmed and need a helping hand. So she did that. And then Hank just obliterated all those guys.
Yeah.
And then all the other husks all did the zombie, mass around everyone else over there. And so they're the ones in trouble.
And the weird leader guy was like, follow the lights, my children. And he put these bedazzling lights on Aurora, which dazed her, and then all the zombies just swarmed her.
So they're mobbing Aurora, and I'm like, for the first time, not following Aurora around, because I thought that, she would be safe with Croesus and Serendipity, Van Goldstrider, and Malora over there. So Aurora's getting mobbed, and she's giving a good account for herself, but she's taking a lot of damage as well. So, but then we start manipulating the battlefield. We mash all the zombies together, then Serendipity drops, what was that here? Shock sphere? It's a big 5x5.
In a lot of ways, the zombies just clumped themselves, because they all clumped around Aurora anyway. There was just a little bit of manipulating, getting Aurora out of the clump, and then...
Yeah, and then Cricket came over and shouted triumph to the survivors, which is my only area attack. So we actually thinned out their numbers very quickly, but Aurora had taken up quite a pounding and gone down to 1 hit point. And so Cricket healed her up from 1 hit point. And I think that's about where the session ended. We're still in the fight. There's still some zombies, but it does seem to be fairly firmly in our favor, thanks to those area effects cleaning out large numbers of zombies. They have some special abilities, like there's some minion zombies that after you kill them, their hands come back and are like trying to climb up their legs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was especially awkward for Cricket because she doesn't wear pants.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different kinds, because there's all different kinds of husks there. There were mongrel husks and elf husks and cat shifter husks and dog shifter husks and nameless husks. And the kind of the crazy guy, he looks like a gnome because he's the right size and wearing like what looks like pretty nice clothing, although it's kind of tattered.
Yeah.
And he was getting more and more upset as they killed more and more of his husks.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, that was Xanthonodox! And whatever. And none of them are appropriate names for like mongrels and stuff. It's very odd.
Yeah. Also, he cast some sort of mirror image spell, so there's now 3 of him. We weren't attacking him all that much. I think one of us, was it? I think Aurora shot him with a crossbow right off the bat.
I think so. I think that's why he attacked her.
Yeah, at the very beginning of the combat, she fired off a shot at him. Gave him a wound.
But they haven't really touched him at all.
Yeah, because we've got hordes of zombies all around us, and they're going down fairly easily when you focus on them, so we figured clear it all away.
Yeah, even the non-minions have killed a couple of them.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to be doing a huge amount of fire support, so, we can afford to let him go for a while. Also, we don't want to kill him because we got to give him this box. Obviously.
Well, who else would you give the box?
Yeah. The instructions said, go in the cave, give the box to a guy. There's a guy, he's in the cave. Give him the box. Collect our pittance and go.
I should probably mention that, because we didn't mention it earlier, that there were 2 ways they could go when they entered the cave.
Oh.
So
the other way, there's like this operative sitting there with like a nice dinner table. It's all, he's like, welcome to my wretched abode. You have come far, and
I hope you didn't meet my neighbor.
You've put yourself out tremendously for a pittance. Let me repay you with a fine repast and apologize for my idiotic companions that give people these quests.
How much? What is the pittance?
500 gold or something.
Per person?
No.
Yeah, I forget.
It is a pittance.
I forget what it is. It might be per person. I forget, but it's not that great. I mean,
To be paid in installments of 1/20th of a pittance.
It's a perfectly good quest on the surface, right? Like, it's just basically deliver this diplomatic envoy to the place you're going anyway, and we'll pay you 100 gold each.
Yeah.
And the only rules are just like, if you open it, then you're gonna go to jail or be executed. And if you lose it because you're incompetent, you're gonna go to jail. And if you lose it because you're not incompetent, you'll probably have a trial and maybe have a little fine or something, but it's not gonna be major. But
You should just mail the frickin' thing.
well, that's what they're doing. You're the mail carriers.
Go postal. Anyway. So yeah, we're nearly done that quest. We just have to give this thing to this guy. Maybe we'll have to hold him down while we give it to him or something.
It's like, are you the operative? Yes, I'm the operative of our new family. Good enough. Here you go.
Yeah, I guess they don't really have any way of determining that you delivered the message. Who's going to give you the money?
I don't know and I don't care. I just want to get rid of this box.
The operative is supposed to give you the money.
Okay.
So we're like, here, we're giving you this box. We're taking 500 gold. And we're like, some guys robbed me the other day. I don't understand.
But they left this behind. Can you use this to track them?
No, they left this behind. I wonder what's in it. Greek. Oh, I'm going to jail now. This really sucks for that operative now.
Yeah, all that's in there is just a little card that says go to jail.
Yes, you shouldn't have opened the box.
This was a test.
Supplies!
Okay, listen, little parsnip, I know that Aurora says I shouldn't be giving you treats, but you've been a very good cat. So, yeah, yeah, you like that, don't you? Listen, everyone keeps talking about us going to Greybridge. They keep talking about Greybridge, and I don't know what they're talking about, because I've never heard of Greybridge before, but they say there are oblin there. And they say Greybridge the same way that they say Grey Wall, like it was some sort of a stupid human name. Oh, I'm just going over to Grey Wall. Which Grey Wall? We don't know which Grey Wall we're talking about. I'm going to tell you something here right now. You see, us Oblin, we've been fighting a war against a very clever enemy for thousands of years. And maybe we figured out that perhaps not everybody needs to know where all of our towers are, where each of our walls is, and where our people sleep at night. So I'm sure that each part of the Grey Wall has its name, and the elders, they probably know most of the names, and the people that decide where the supplies go, they need to know where the different parts of the Grey Wall are. I know the name of the tower where I used to live, but the Grey Wall isn't a human place, it's an oblin place. And we've been fighting this enemy for so long. They're always thinking up something new, always coming at us in a different way. And you know what we do, little parsnip? They always come at us with some kind of clever chaos trick, and we always hold. We lock shields, and we hold until the reinforcements come. And after they've gotten past the inevitable tricks and ambushes, they lock shields with us. and we push him back into the chasm, because the reinforcements are gonna come. Because if every Oblin has to lock shields, that's what we'll do. Because there's one wall, there's one grey wall that keeps the world safe from harm. Anytime any two Oblin join together, anytime one Oblin puts one stone on top of the other, that's the grey wall. That's who we are. And if you understand that, well, if you don't understand that, then you don't belong anywhere near the grey wall. And if you do understand that, then you probably know where you are and what you're supposed to be doing already, and you know what you need to about the grey wall. And no, don't. I don't expect much from you, because this is a dream, and you're a cat. But the Grey Bridge, what would an Oblin of the Grey Bridge even be like? This is a weird dream, little parsnip.
Dear Diary, today once again, my good friend Cricket saved us. She found a place and hid us all, and somehow sent the scary mages away. And I knew she could do it, and she did. It's so comforting being around someone who I know will take care of me. I'm really glad to have her for a friend. Oh yeah, and something weird happened. When we killed that mage, he turned into goo, and then it sort of disappeared. I don't remember ever seeing that before. Yeah, I'll have to ask Cricket later what that's about. I'm sure she'll know.
Gnomes, well, of good station, we don't run. No, that's beneath us. Ugh. No. Somebody else can run. I'll do something else. I'll wait. Or... Except Aurora was so nice and... It's very undignified. But... Croesus did my running for me. Yes. Then I didn't have to run.
Things are going quite well indeed. We have managed to escape from those wizards, and we are now about to get rid of this box that we've been tasked with delivering to an operative of some kind. We've found the cave, and we may have found the operative. It's a little bit hard to tell due to his insane ranting and sending of undead to attack us. But I'm sure once we've killed all of the undead that he is sending to attack us and have pinned him down and talked with him a bit, we'll find out whether this is the operative that we need to deliver the box to. I hope it is. We can be rid of it.
This guy says... These guys says this is his family. What does he know about family? He's got these husks, he's got shifters, dog shifters, cat shifters. He's got mongrels, he's got elves. This isn't his family, this is a sick circus of death. And he doesn't know a damn thing about family. George, if you were here, we'd show him. I'm gonna show him anyway. I miss you. Why did you have to go? I hope I find you soon. It's not right. He doesn't even respect the